Welcome to America's Top Rebbetzins. May this class be for Refuah Shalema, for Alec Bat Sarah, and for Lior Tovia Ben Haya Ashna. I'm so happy to have on today's show Rebbetzin Yocheved Goldberg. Rebbetzin Yocheved is a Rebbetzin of the Boca Raton Synagogue in Boca Raton, Florida. The Boca Raton Synagogue is the largest Orthodox synagogue in the Southeast United States. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Please tell us more about yourself and what you do.
Hi, thank you for bringing me on your show. It's a really special initiative that you've taken on. I think it's wonderful and important, and it's always good for everyone to get to know the Rebbetzins out there. So
For sure.
to you, it's wonderful. I'm Yocheved Goldberg. I'm originally from New York, from Lawrence, and I got married 24 years ago. My husband and we went to, I grew up in a very typical community from home, and was involved in a lot of different youth groups, and definitely involved with people, high school and post-high school. I went to Michala for seminary and for a year and a half, and then I went to Queens College and Wurzweiler for social work. I have an MSW, and then I met my husband the summer before I started Wurzweiler, and then we were dating. He was in YU. I was on the YU campus for my social work school, so we were able to see each other here and there, and we dated for those few months, and then we got engaged. My whole Wurzweiler situation was me dating, engaged, married, and then ended with my first baby. So anyone who knew me in graduate school knew that I was constantly writing thank you cards, like throughout every class. Engagement, marriage, baby. It was like that was my whole social work education. But it was a great school. I learned a lot, and I did work for a number of years. I've taken a break now, and definitely more focused on my Rebbetzin job, and that's really what I do primarily. And obviously, as a parent, my children keeps me busy as well. We got married in 97, and we moved to Israel. We lived for 2 years in the Grus Kollel, and we spent a wonderful 2 years there, where it was just a great way to start out our marriage, start out our life together. And we made a lot of good friends, and my husband was learning for smicha. It was wonderful. We had our baby there the first year, our oldest, our Bechora Racheli. And then we came back after 2 years. The Pesach of the second year, we were recruited to see Boca, to see the Kollel there, and we never heard of Boca Raton. We really didn't have it on our radar. We knew Florida, we knew Miami, we knew Orlando, but Boca Raton was not really on the map at that time. We didn't know much about it.
Wow.
But we came for Shabbos, and we saw how beautiful it was and how warm the people, the weather. It was just really captivated us, and we said this is where we should go next. So that summer we moved to Boca Raton in 99. And I had Racheli, who was a year and a half. I was pregnant with my second, and we started out there. My husband was in the Kollel, the community Kollel, where he was learning and learning on his own, learning with other people, teaching, and really starting his career as a future rabbi. Although then he was going to do chinuch and was supposed to be a rebbe, and we together came up with a decision to maybe go into the rabbinate instead of chinuch. A little more broad, and to work with all different populations, not just high school boys, which was what he was going to do, which I think was a good decision at the end. So happily we went in that direction.
Yes.
And and then the assistant rabbi left, and he became assistant rabbi of the shul, and then the senior rabbi left, and he became the senior rabbi of the shul. It kind of just kept progressing, and he got growing in his position, and Baruch Hashem, he's doing great stuff, and I'm his his partner in crime. And that's basically our story. We went on to have a few more. We actually have 6 daughters and a son, in that order.
Wow.
Yes, Baruch Hashem, Kanai Nahar, they're great, and so it's been busy. It's been a busy life here, thank God.
Mazel tov. Wow, that's it's busy and beautiful, and your journey is really, really beautiful. The way that you described it, from meeting your husband to dating to Israel and to coming to Boca, it's really, really beautiful. And now, so you're the community Rebbetzin of the Boca Raton Synagogue. So I want to talk a little bit about the role that a community Rebbetzin plays. I mean, it's a really, really vital role. The community Rebbetzin is the lifeblood of the synagogue. And I want to see if maybe you could please talk to us about what is involved in the position and why it's so important.
So the Rebbetzin position is one of the only positions that is by virtue of who you marry. You know, there's like no one who goes to school to be a Rebbetzin. There's no one who, a lot of people don't even sign up to be a Rebbetzin. A lot of people just, they end up dating a guy who ends up going into smicha and becoming a shul rabbi, and now she's all of a sudden a Rebbetzin. So there are a lot of women who marry that rabbi and are a doctor, are a lawyer, or a business teacher, wants to be a stay-at-home full-time mother and not be involved in community. And for them, you know, it's kind of like, this is my husband's job, and I didn't really get paid or, you know, chose this or wanted to do it. Although I think you are choosing it a little bit when you do marry someone, you know, who could possibly go into this field, or even if you are married to them and they choose to, you're choosing it together, usually as a couple. So you are approaching it together. But, you know, everyone has a different way of looking at it. I think people feel like, why should I do anything extra? That I'm not, you know, it's not my job description. I'm not getting, it's not a paid position. So it's my husband's job, but I'm something else. You know, I'm busy with something else. And that's perfectly legitimate. And people could definitely make that decision and decide for themselves if they want to be a Rebbetzin, how much they want to do, what that role means to them. And we actually every year, YU has a very nice Rebbetzin conference where they have different, it's a 2-day conference and they have different sessions, and definitely comes up a lot, like, you know, not a lot, but it comes up here and there, you know, this whole idea of being a Rebbetzin and how much you really want to invest in it and what it means to you. And, you know, and it's a very interesting, although a lot of women who go to that conference, Dafka, enjoy their job as Rebbetzin, and that's why they go, to learn more about it and to, you know, so it's always a great educational experience to see what other Rebbetzins are doing and to learn more about what we can do as a Rebbetzin. But in general, it really is a position, what you want to make of it. And I think different communities have different expectations, or want different things, or expect different things. And every Rebbetzin has to decide, I guess, on their own how much they want to do, what's the right job description for them as a Rebbetzin. What do they enjoy? What is something they're good at? What is something they would like to do? What is something they really don't want to be involved in? And it's not really who they are, and they don't see themselves filling that position. And I think that every shul has to think about that too. A bunch of years ago, we actually interviewed, when my husband was assistant rabbi and the rabbi was still here, and he wanted to kind of, you know, move up in his position at some point. So we looked into another community, and they actually interviewed both of us, and they made it very clear that they want Rebbetzin, and they were asking me a lot of questions, and, you know, but in my community, it never really came up. It was never officially decided this is the Rebetzin's position. And I've been very fortunate to be able to really choose for myself what interests me, what I want to be involved in, what I am good at, and what I enjoy. And so it's really kind of evolved through the years. Definitely changes as you have different life circumstances. You know, when I was busy making my daughter's weddings, I probably was not hosting as much and as involved, because I was so busy planning weddings, and, you know, that takes up a lot of time. And, you know, so it really does kind of wax and wane according to what's going on in your life. For me, I really, I love this position. I think it offers tremendous opportunity to really be a part of people's lives in a meaningful way. I find that it's a great way of connecting. If you're a people person, if you want to give back to the world and contribute, then being a Rebbetzin really does offer a situation that a lot of people don't often have access to. You know, when you're able to be there for people at a very difficult time in their life, and someone else who's, you know, you have that role of Rebbetzin, you're playing a different part in that whole tragedy for them. You're really there for them in a way that they feel, my Rebbetzin, you know, could come over and sit with me. Like, they see a Rebbetzin in a little bit of a different way than just a regular community member. And I think that's something special, that you could, you know, use that position to really help people in their time of need. And also with their simcha, you know, they'll pull in the Rebbetzin to dance because they want to celebrate with them, and they see them in a certain way that they're their Rebbetzin. And so it really could be a very unique, special place that you could play in people's lives. More practically, you know, I think the rabbi and Rebbetzin, a big goal is to really get to know people. We host a lot. We find that when they sit around our Shabbos table, our Yontif table, with their families, or even singles, or whoever they may be, it really does give you access to them, and you get to know them in a way that you don't get to know them when you're just passing them in shul and just wishing a good Shabbos. So we really do try, everyone who moves in, we really try to host them at least once. We have a very, very large community. Baruch Hashem, we're like nearing 1,000 families at this point.
Wow, that is large.
And
Wow.
it's, Yes, and Florida in general is growing like crazy. I think we've
Yes.
had almost 100 new families that moved in just this year. So we are definitely growing, and it's definitely getting harder to have everyone. It used to be there were years where I could say with confidence that I had every new family and I've had everyone from the shul at my Shabbos table. Now, especially with Corona, we lost almost 2 years of hosting.
This is
Um,
true.
so I'm very behind. My invitation list is growing by leaps and bounds. I have to catch up at some point. I will, Mir Hashem. I hope to, but I'm trying actually now to be a little more creative about it. Tomorrow morning I'm hosting a coffee in my backyard where I'm having a bunch of new women who've moved in who I haven't had the chance to host yet for a Shabbos, but at least they feel like they're spending time, and hopefully it'll be about 10, 15 women, and we could just sit around my backyard table. We're lucky with the weather here. We could sit outside and just enjoy each other's company and get to know each other very informally. That's something that I've decided to do because I see that getting them for the Shabbos meals is becoming a little bit more challenging as there are more people moving in at once. Other things that Rebbetzins could do, and a role that a lot of Rebbetzins play is as a teacher, is as a speaker. Very often I'm not a traditional teacher. When we first moved to Boca, I got phone calls from every school here. Oh, good, you're a rabbi, you're a kollel wife. I guess you could be maybe you could teach in our school. And I had to kind of turn everyone down. I'm a social worker. I'm not a teacher. So it's not something that just comes naturally. That I just want to get up in front of the classroom and teach. I'm not trained to do that. So I do not teach, but I do try to speak. I do a lot of taharas mishpacha and marriage, and those kind of topics are near and dear to my heart. I'm a college teacher, so I like to do those refresher classes and those type of topics. And also, anytime we have any event, I'm usually introducing or presenting or something like that also, which I also enjoy. And there's also so many other subsidiary committees to the shul, like the sisterhood, and very involved in the mikvah. I've started in more recent years being a lot more involved with shidduchim, and so there's always a lot to do. And then as far as just being a partner to my husband, where I'll be that like sounding board, a lot of different things that come up, and I'll help him figure out some details or help him come up with some ideas or planning things. And so there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that Rebbetzins also do and can do. And the main thing is really showing up. I think that people really feel when it's not just the rabbi, but the Rebbetzin too is coming to their simcha, is coming to their shiva,
Yes.
is called reaching out to them when they're going through a hard time. People know I'm available to them. They always know if they want to go out or they want to talk or they want, I'm very accessible and very available. I can't reach out to every member of my community all the time to check in. I kind of count on people checking in more with me when they need something or, to reach out, because it's just impossible for me to reach out to 1,000 people, all the time.
For sure.
Right, which is why also when you show up at things, when you're at a simcha and you're working the room and you're seeing all these people from that chevra, and then you go to the next wedding or the next bar mitzvah and you're seeing that chevra and you're spending time with them, and then you go to this, there's always opportunities to spend with people. So when you show up and you engage people and you show you're interested and you are friendly and warm, and that goes a long way, and I think people appreciate that as well. So that's really pretty much what I feel the role of Rebbetzin is and what we could do as Rebbetzins.
I think that's really beautiful. Bringing the community together. Like you said, you're a partner with your husbands, the rabbi and the Rebbetzin, and you're a team. You're a team together. I imagine your husband has more social interactions with the men, and he teaches more classes for men. And you represent the women. You're in touch with the women whenever they need something. You're there to help them. I think that's really, really beautiful. And I think it's really, really important for a community to have Rebbetzin, somebody to reach out to, somebody to go to. And you do kala teaching, and I guess if people are having marriage issues, they feel comfortable coming to you also. Do you do that also, I imagine?
Yeah.
It's really important to have a go-to person in your community. I find that many communities don't have that. So that's, a kol hakavod to you that you're providing that for your community. And really, the community shul is the main gathering place for Jews. And they come together for davening, for praying, children's programs, holiday programs, Hesed opportunities, classes for adult learning, and so many other programs designed to help connect Jews to each other and bring them closer to Hashem. And the Boca Raton Synagogue is unique in that it's a community that has unity with diversity. There are many different types of Jews that come to pray and participate in programs at your shul. And I want to see if maybe you can please talk to us about what it's like to have Jews of different levels of observance all coming together in one place.
So BRS is known for what you said, its diversity.
Yes.
It's a really unique place. When like I said, I grew up in New York, and it was a lovely community, and it was at that time in the 70s, 80s, 90s when I grew up, it was actually pretty diverse and different than it is now. It's definitely evolved and changed through the years. But it's it was pretty homogeneous. The schools I went to and the community, the street I lived on, we were all pretty similar. I never really got to know a Sephardic family. I did not have any access to Chabad. There was no interaction there, or no one really in my community. I knew very few non-frum. I don't think I knew any converts. I mean, they were like, we really kind of stuck in our little box, and I knew the girls in my class, and, but there was very little diversity in my class, in my community, and certainly not among who my family hung out with, and very little of that. Our shul was pretty homogeneous. That's just the way we kind of grew up, and my husband too in Teaneck. He also is a beautiful community, and different than the community I grew up in, but also pretty homogeneous, similar types of families as families we're close with, and that's kind of what he was exposed to. And then we moved to Boca, and it was like a whole eye-opening situation here, because when we first moved here, the community was much smaller. I think there were like probably about 200, 250 families here. And it was mostly Bali Tshuva. And it was mostly people who were coming from other communities and kind of escaping here and finding something different and really wanted small. And, it was just such unique people that I'd never been exposed to or had what to do with. And I was I really liked, I connected with them and I enjoyed them. And we did a lot of, we started out with a lot of outreach. My husband ran the first explanatory service here. And, we met a lot of people who were on a journey, and it was fascinating to me. And in those couple of years, we really thought we'd be there for 2 years to kind of do Kiruv and do the Kollel thing in the community, and try to work. And then we were going to move on to a different community. We never thought we were going to actually stay in Boca, because we weren't sure how it would work raising our kids and what it would be like. And, but then, these positions Rabbanis came up, and it just made sense to stay. And the community really just remained very diverse, because the people who moved in, again, were coming from all different communities. It wasn't, a lot of New Yorkers, but a lot of from all over and from a lot of different backgrounds. And everyone felt very comfortable in our shul, because our shul offers so many different options for people. We have a very robust Sephardic minyan in our shul. Most communities have a Sephardic shul down the block. Our community, our shul, has a Sephardic minyan in our shul. So you have Sephardim, you have Ashkenazim, you have, we had, for a while, we actually had a Karbach minyan for people who just wanted that, singing and that experience. We still have it once in a while on a Friday night, a Karbach minyan. We have that segment to enjoy that kind of thing. We have a very strong Chabad presence here, even though we have a bunch of Chabad shuls in our community. They're in our community. They're in our shul too. So we have a minyan, a shtibel minyan, it's called, where they enjoy Nusach Sfar davening, Nusach Aris davening. I'm sorry, and it's a lot of Chabad people who have their minyan together, and they bring other people in, and so we have a lot of them who've been moving in recently. And then we have now a whole Hasidic segment who want a Nusach Sfard minyan. So we started just a few months ago a Nusach Sfard minyan for the Hasidim who've moved in Or Chabad, but want their own minyan. And it's so we have for them now. And then we have, we have an outreach. We have a rabbi in our shul who is devoted to just do outreach, is an outreach rabbi. And he has a Friday night live, a Friday night service for people who, want to learn more about Judaism. We have a lot of outreach opportunities. And it's there literally is something for everyone. And then we'll have this Shabbos, the Kalav Rebbe is coming. And then on Monday, we have a whole program for Israel with David Friedman and Ben Shapiro. And, we are constantly doing things that everyone could be involved. Oh, and then we're also having a Lubavitcher for Brengen coming up in a week or two, that they're doing something for the Rebbe. But literally, it's every type, there's something for everyone. And there's also a diversity in age groups. We have a lot of elderly here. As you know, Florida is, for the retirees. We have a whole retiree community. We have an empty nest club for them, where they have Shabbos meals together and go out on events together, and and get to know each other. And then we have a huge, young, vibrant, young family community. We have a great youth director. We have a teen rabbi. We have so much going on for the youth and for the young. We have a young leadership program where they have their own program. They had a pizza night a few Motzei Shabbos ago just for young couples. And so we have really something for everyone. And I think that's so important, because everyone deserves to kind of grow and live at their own pace and what they want and how they want to be. We don't put people in a box here. We don't say, oh, you're that. Okay, you belong there. And you're that type, that. You're like, okay, you should go there. We don't, that doesn't happen here. We really believe that everyone deserves to grow and be on their own level, at their own pace, where they want to be. And because I'm saying, hey, like, you deserve to not have to fit into a box. You deserve to do your own thing and be who you want to be. And, but there's a lot of inspiration here. We have so many shiurim, and we have so much, my husband does a Friday morning kollel for men, and he has, so much learning. We have a women's midrashah for women who want to learn, and wonderful teachers. And we have so much learning opportunities and growth opportunities, but we really respect people. We respect people's, own identity and their own way of growing. I mean, our next door neighbors are Sephardim. The husband's from Iran, and they're like really help run the Sephardic minyan here. And they're such close friends, and they're so wonderful. I never would have met them in my former life,
Sure.
Here, like, so much in my life. It's so much, it's great. And then the people who, are not yet who are learning and growing, I learned so much from them. And, it's so great for my kids and for families to grow up seeing a little bit outside of their Dalet Amos, a little bit outside of their box, to see that there's so much to learn from others, and you could respect so much about people, even if they're different, especially because they're different. Their differences is what makes them special. And, so that's something that we really, really believe in here. And you know what? There's no great chap to having unity when everyone's the same, Right. Unity is special when there's diversity. That's what makes it unity. All different people can unite and come to the same events and daven in the same shul and be neighbors and live together and respect each other and love each other. And you don't have to be the same, and it's okay. And we don't want we want that diversity. We believe in it, and we respect it, and we love it. And that's really what this community is about. And I think that's really important, especially today, where there's so much divisiveness and there's so much that divides us and that separates us and that people resent or are angry. Why? We need to be brothers and sisters. I mean, I know it sounds so like, la-di-da. It's not always perfect and easy, but it's what Hashem wants, I believe. We're brothers and sisters. When we as parents see our kids get along and coexist and live amongst each other, that's like the greatest nachas on the planet. That's what you want. You want your kids to get along. So when you come to this community and you see the achdus, really the unity, that people could be different but still be neighbors and be friends and daven, in the same shul and be part of the same community. And that's what Hashem, I believe that's what Hashem wants to see and wants from his children. So that's really what we try to model here, and what we, I think, are hopefully succeeding at. We're very proud.
It's so amazing. It's so amazing, and it's so beautiful that, I mean, you have such diversity at the Boca Raton Synagogues, both in the people that you attract, and also in the programming. I mean, if you talk to Rebbetzins from shuls all over the world, even, the United States, abroad, United Kingdom, Israel, most shuls don't offer as much as the Boca Raton Synagogue. Of course, they have the daily minions, they have programs for the holidays, maybe they'll have groups for the kids, but you offer so much. You offer, I think you have like a chess club for kids and adults, the pizza night, the Friday night live, as you were saying. It's really something for everybody. Women's learning, you do different types of shiurim, and so many minions, my goodness, for the Hasidim, for the Sephardim. I mean, it's beautiful, and all under one roof. You're right, because in most synagogues, the Sephardim are down the hall or down the block in a different shul. And the fact that you offer so many programs and so many opportunities for people to learn and to daven and to grow at their own pace, in an area where they feel comfortable, it's amazing. I really want to say kol hakavod, because it really, really is amazing. Most shuls don't have that, and I just think it's fantastic. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I get very excited about that, because I think that's it's what community shul should be about. Like I said earlier, I said the community shul is the main gathering place for Jews in the community, and you should be able to gather in a place where you feel comfortable and you can grow at your own pace and you can learn what you want to learn. And I think it's beautiful. So which brings me to my next question about every community has a story. People come together to be there for each other in times of need, in times of joy. Jews are there for each other when, God forbid, a parent passes away and there's a shiva, or they're there for each other when a child has a bar or bat mitzvah. They offer a warm, welcoming hospitality and a nice environment. Like you said, you're inviting women over for coffee, and I think it's so important when a new family moves into the community. A strong Jewish community strives to be a pillar of support for each other on a day-to-day basis, so no member feels like they need to navigate life alone, like we were just talking about. And I wanted to see if maybe you can please share one or two stories where a person in your community, or maybe a family in your community, or a group of people in your community have done something extraordinary to bring Hashem's light into the world.
Wow. Okay. I have to say, Baruch Hashem, we have a lot of amazing people here. I mean, really, truly amazing, who just do remarkable things. And there have been so many stories through the years. We, Baruch Hashem, been here a long time. We're on our 23rd year here. We're like the oldies here, the oldies but goodies. So many new people. And there have been so many stories through the years. I mean, one that stands out for me recently, there's a woman in our community who, unfortunately, her husband was not giving her a get. And it was a real struggle for her. And,
Wow.
my husband got extremely involved, and like extremely involved. It's been weeks, I would say, not even hours, like literally just, I mean, it took 2 years, but I'm saying it was nonstop trying to work through all the different channels and getting different people to come to different, to help and to try. And it was really, really a struggle. And I have to say, our community was so supportive and so amazing the way everyone stepped up and really literally rallied around her. We had a rally that we ran outside of the development where he lives, and so many people came, and everyone was so passionate about it, and really cared. And she was a new member in our community. Everyone took her under their wing, and helped her acclimate to the community with her kids, to feel like she was part of the community. And that was something that I think was so, it was really remarkable. But the greatest part was that when this was going on, we realized that part of the issue is that a lot of people are not getting those halachic prenups. And that's one way of really being able to prevent this whole issue of aguna. And a few young couples in our community made a beautiful event. It was actually, it was not a crazy time during Corona, but it was still around. So we did it outside on a lawn of the shul. They made like a beautiful, like 3-course dinner. Everyone wore like Shabbos clothing, and they called it a post-nup dinner. And
Wow.
what they did was that everyone came, and there was like 2 notaries who were there. And we had these halachic prenups that you could do post marriage also. Tons of people didn't get it, when they were first married. Now I think it's becoming a little bit more common and more people are doing it, but a lot of people did not sign these prenups when they were first married. So these couples came and they enjoyed a 3-course dinner, and we had music playing, and we actually had someone come from ORA, which is an organization that deals with this, that helps agunas and really tries to promote the halachic prenups, and did a whole PowerPoint about what the organization does, and which was great. My husband spoke also, because he's unfortunately had a lot of experience dealing with agunas through the years, and especially this one. This woman came, and everyone kind of stood up and applauded for her, because she was knee deep in her situation at that time. And it was so brave of her to show up and be there and take part in it. And I think it gave a lot of people also like the incentive to want to do their part. And everyone there signed, whoever did not have, I mean, we actually had a halachic prenup, and this is already almost 25 years ago. But everyone there who didn't have one signed one. And we actually had a photo booth where they took like just married, we had like little props with like, a veil, and they could, it was actually, but we tried to make it cute and entertaining also. And they had this photo booth, just married, whatever. And then we had a couple there who's in their 90s who
Oh my
signed the
gosh.
prenup. It was so adorable and sweet. And of course they did, they're remaining married. We're not worried about them, but they did it as just to show people we're all doing our part. And it was just really heartwarming and beautiful. And it worked out so nicely. And so many people came, and it was a fun event, a social event, but also like you really felt like you were doing your part, you were making a difference. And that was really something that stands out, that a community did, to rally around and to also do their part to promote what's important, and what we need to do to help certain situations to improve. And, so I thought that was something that stands out in the history of our community, more recent, but there's definitely more. I mean, there have been so many amazing things that we've done to stand up for Israel, to support, what's going on around the world, to care, to show that we're behind everyone, everything. And, so we've really, I think we've done a lot through the years to, to show our support. Okay, there's someone at my door
Okay.
who's picking.
Oh, thank you so much. I just want to, for the people who don't understand, I just want to see if you can maybe define the word aguna and get, just to clarify.
Sure. So, unfortunately, there's a situation that sometimes occurs when a couple is getting divorced, that it's not just enough to get a civil divorce, but you also have to get a halachic divorce. And the process is that a husband has to give his wife a get, which is the document that is needed in order to divorce halachically. Sometimes there are some men who choose to withhold the get. There are often different reasons. Sometimes it's purely manipulative and just because he's trying to basically torture her and make her have to wait. And it's a terrible thing because a woman is not allowed to remarry until she has that get. So it really is a form of torture. There are other times where it's a little bit more fair and right, where he's waiting for certain things or she needs to do certain things. And so under the guidance of rabbis, of advisors, of lawyers, it often is worked out and usually is given at a timely fashion and done in the right way. There are situations where unfortunately it's dragged out or it's withheld, and then the community, the rabbis, people will sometimes need to put pressure on the husband to try to make it happen quicker and find ways to push him a little bit. What happens during this time is the wife becomes what's called an aguna, and that she's the one who's just waiting for that get. And if it's a situation where he's being manipulative and just trying to torture her, then it's a terrible, terrible time for her. And it's really something that as a community we could try to help and not let her suffer and try to make this happen quicker. So that's what we were trying to do in that situation. And that's what there are organizations and there are rabbis and Bezdins and so many out there who really are trying to help this and not allow it to happen often. And so we're grateful for that there are people out there who are educated, knowing what they need to do and how to help. And so it doesn't happen so often, thank God.
And it's really great that your synagogue was involved in that. It's really amazing. And she finally got her get, right? This lady?
So Baruch Hashem, she got the get about a month ago. It was
Amazing.
it was really, really, really amazing. And it was, thank God, it was really up and down and we didn't know what was going to be. And then finally it worked out. And, it was a real simcha. It was like a wedding that day, like you really feel like it's something that was so major that was resolved and she's free and, free to move on with her life now. So
Baruch Hashem. It's amazing that is. Wow.
Yep. Now, thank God, through the years, our community has been involved in a lot. We had recently there was a hurricane in New Orleans, so our community put together a trip to go and help them build their houses, rebuild their community. That was something that was very special, and I think people here love the opportunity to give and to help, and people there appreciated that effort. And like I said, we fight for Israel and we fight for Jews around the world, and we're very we really care about each other. Also, when we go through a tragedy, someone passes away in the community, it's unbelievable, the outpouring of support, of love. People can't do enough for each other. And, so while it's a large community, we try to keep it small at the same time, that we have, a chesed committee and we have Bikur Cholim and we have, a meal train that's very active. It's constantly new babies, constantly people sitting Shiva, constantly people sick and need help. And, and we really, really try so hard to provide and to help and to be there for them. And we have a Simcha Gemach, and we, just a lot of things that we offer to help people during their happiest of times, during their saddest of times. And we're a real community in that respect also, that we try to keep track of what's going on with everyone and that they should have the help and what they need. Our Tomchei Shabbos is, it's amazing the way people give to it and the way Tomchei Shabbos gives to their families, and no one's ever really in need. We really try to be there and help them. And, that's something special about the rabbis of our community who are there for them and know they have their finger on the pulse of what's going on and what people need. And then the committees that try to be there to help and support that need. And, it's just, it's beautiful.
That is. Oh, wow. That's incredible. You really have a very supportive and loving community, which is so, so important. It really is. And which brings me to the topic of that there are many Jews who are not affiliated with a particular synagogue and who don't take part in daily or weekly davening and who don't participate in any family or community programs on a regular basis. And I want to see what you would say to people who are thinking about joining a Jewish community, but they have no idea where to start.
It's so important to be part of a community. When I think about what the pros of being from are, there are always those things that are like are hard or that are challenging. But whenever I always think like, what's so great when I try to, I'll talk to my kids about it. We're so lucky. We're so lucky. And one of those things that I feel like we're so lucky about is the sense of community. It enhances a life a million times fold. When you're going through something, to not have that community around you. When I think about people who just kind of live in the city, live in on a street, they don't necessarily feel like a community with their neighbors. They're not part of an institution that brings them together. They don't have those opportunities. And here your community could become like your family. When we first moved here, we had no family here. Zero.
Wow.
We had they were in New York, they were in Israel. We had no immediate family here, no family at all. And this community literally became our family. A couple of years, 3-4 years after we moved here, we had a stillbirth, and it was a really difficult time for us. I was in my 8th month, and everyone knew I was pregnant. My husband was a community rabbi. Everyone knew us, and then and then we lost that baby, and it was so difficult. Of course, our parents were there, and our siblings, and everyone cared. Our family cared, but the community cared like as if they were our family. They couldn't do enough for us. They were so loving and so supportive, and so comforting to be able to go through that with them, and with them being there for us. And and the same thing when we made simchas, when we made a lot of bas mitzvahs. So we have 6 girls, and each one, it was like their simcha. They cared so much about our daughters. They cared so much about us. We haven't made the bar mitzvah yet. He's only 9. I could just imagine what that's going to feel like. When he was born, it was literally like the community had a baby. They've been through all of our 6 girls with us. When he was born, it was like the Mashiach was born. They were they were so excited. The Shalom Zacha was out the door. You couldn't even get into the block, let alone our house. It was such a simcha, and it was so special for us to be part of this community, for people to care and love us so deeply and want to be there for us. And so when I think about people who don't have that, I feel like they're missing something, and it's so beautiful, and it enriches your life in such a way to feel like there are people who are going to have your back, and there are people who are going to be there with you and for you. So I would feel like if someone, is Jewish, if someone is, interested in that, if they know that there is such a thing, to find that local shul. It's so easy to find things these days. You just need to Google, local synagogue, Boca Raton, or whatever it is. And, BRS will come up. And, thank God we have a wonderful staff, and we have a welcoming committee that buddies up every new family that moves in, and then makes sure that they're invited and makes sure that they're included and knows what's going on in the community. Become a member of a shul. That's something that's getting a little bit lost now. I feel that there are people who are moving in from other communities that don't necessarily think to become a member of the shul.
Yes.
And they just kind of go to daven and go to but they're not members. I think becoming a member of a shul is important. It really makes you part of it, that you're getting all the mailing and you're getting all the information, and you are on the shul listing, and people know, and it also shows when you call the rabbi is getting paid through the shul, and he's on that's his salary, and that's who he works for. And when you now become part of the community, you should become a member of the shul, because now that's your rav, and now that's your shul, and now that's So I think that's a really important message for people. They don't just join, come to things, but join membership, be counted and be part of it, and feel like you're giving and contributing to the shul that you're gaining so much from. I think that's really important. But yeah, Google it, look up a shul, start slow. You don't have to jump into it, but I think it's so important for kids to be part of something greater than themselves. I think it's important for adults to feel, there have to be studies. I think there are, that when you're part of a shul and you're part of a church, when you're part of a local, religion or institution, something that's bringing you together with other people, something that's bringing you meaning, there has to be a greater rate of happiness, because it really does enhance your life. It does enrich your life. There's something about that really adds to your everyday purpose, meaning. I could do, I could get, I could be, I could hang out, I could, to just feel part of something it's priceless. It's so important. So I think everyone should make that effort. There are beginner classes, there are advanced classes, there are, it's something, even that person who let's say is moving somewhere to kind of get away from what they were in before, or want to not be involved, or not, we actually have a family in our community. It's really fascinating. They both come from very Hasidic families. Both grew up really knee deep in Hasidism, and they moved here, which is not known as a Hasidic community. Again, we have a lot of Hasidim who've moved in more recent years, but at that time when they moved, it certainly wasn't, and we don't claim to be. They come because they love what they have here, but they don't. This couple, they ended up very impressive to me, because I think a lot of people are kind of running away from something, don't necessarily want to be from anymore. They might not, go to the shul, or they'll kind of like, not want to, and just do their own thing, and maybe send their kids to public school, and and not be religious anymore. This couple still wanted to be part of a community, and they became members of our shul, and they come to shul, and they come to events, and their kids are in the local yeshivas, and they're doing it their way. They don't look Hasidic anymore. They're not, but they're still part of a community because it was important enough to them. And I think that they will tell you that this is that they're thrilled, because again, here we're not judging them. We don't need to know where they came from, what they're doing, what they're up to. It's their business, but they're growing at their own level, and this has been great for them. And I think that for those who have not grown up with anything, for those who have grown up for anything, there is something for everyone here, particularly in our community, but I think in every community, there's something you could gain from being part of a shul, being part of a chevra, being part of people who believe in something, who are attending and who are participating and who are giving. And I think you could only gain. I know. So find your local shul, Google it, look it up, see where it is, attend a youth program for your kids, attend a class. It could be beginners, advanced, whatever is at your level. Attend an Israel rally, whatever it is. There's something for everyone. Find it, take advantage of it, and know that it will only enrich your life and make you happier, better people. So to me, it's great.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rebbetzin Yocheved, for taking the time to join us on America's Top Rebbetzins. We really, really enjoyed having you here. And may this class be for Refuah Shalema for Alec Bud Sarah. If anyone would like to sponsor a future podcast, please email us at atrebbetzins@gmail.com. Thank you so, so much.
My pleasure. Thank you. It was great to meet you.
Thank you. So nice to meet you too.
And really hatzlacha with everything. I'm impressed, and I think it's wonderful that you do this. I don't know if I'm a top Rebbetzin, but I'm very honored to be included. And I look forward to speaking to you more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, me too. Thank you.
Take care.